anyone even remotely tuned into the world of streetwear and sneakers, the names Supreme and Nike need no introduction. Starting their journey together back in 2002, these two have consistently been on the radar of every sneakerhead. With over 30 unique sneaker releases under their belt, these brands etch some of the most coveted designs in the annals of footwear history. So, from their initial experiments echoing the vibes of the Air Jordan 3 to their now almost predictable annual release, this is the complete history between Nike and Supreme. The first shoe Nike and Supreme released together was the 2002 SB Dunk Low Pro. They dropped two distinct colorways, but what caught everyone's attention was the Tinker Hatfield designed elephant print that dominated the design. It was a bold move, especially since there was no visible Supreme branding on the sneakers. That might seem odd now, but remember, this was a time when Nike hadn't yet delved deep into branding collaborations with other companies. With no digital drops or social media teasers, all the hype was built by whispers and chatter among sneakerheads. The drop details were sketchy but exciting. Limited availability in Supreme's Manhattan and Tokyo stores in October. And by limited, I mean 750 black pairs and 500 white pairs. Instead of selling out in a day, Supreme decided to have some fun, releasing just a few each day over a week. And every day, like clockwork, by 9 a.m., fans would queue up, ready for the noon release. All in all, this collaboration was more than just shoes. It expanded the Supreme fan base beyond skaters and set the stage for future collabs between the two. After the roaring success of their first collaboration, the pressure was on. Everyone wondered if they could maintain that momentum, or would they fall prey to the dreaded second album syndrome. With the 2003 SB Dunk High, they decided to venture back in time to 1985. Borrowing from Nike's classic Be True to Your School campaign, they went with three OG colorways: University Blue, College Orange, and Varsity Red. The initial design featured a gold Nike monogram pattern blanketing the panel behind the iconic swoosh. However, this being an SB shoe and not a mainline Nike shoe, branding became a bone of contention. Therefore, Nike put a halt to this design in March 2003, sending Supreme back to the drawing board. Supreme had made a comeback by converting the shoe into a Dunk SB High and swapping out the Nike monograms for a pattern of gold stars. Echoing the release strategy of their previous hit, they rolled out these shoes exclusively in their stores, spread over a week. Each day was dedicated to a different color, with the strict rule of only one pair per customer, making sure that sneakerheads had a reason to come back day after day. As 2004 rolled around, so did the time for Supreme and Nike to release a new shoe. Now, after going all in with the Dunks, the third installment of the Supreme by SB took a subtler route with the Delta Force 3-4. Nike SB eyed the Delta Force, another 80s basketball classic, for a reintroduction into the skateboard domain, partnering with Supreme for the revival. Sporting understated tonal colorways, cushioned uppers, and a classic gum sole, the shoe was truly tailored for skateboarding. However, the absence of prominent Supreme branding and its slightly chunkier design didn't create the usual frenzy. And unlike their predecessors, these shoes lingered on the shelves for several weeks after a mostly lukewarm reception from the community. But thankfully, they were able to make everything right with the 2006 Nike Blazer SB Supreme. The Nike Blazer has a ton of history in the skating community. It's the same sneaker that icons like Tony Alva used to rock back in the 1970s. Fast forward to 2006 and Supreme decided to put a fresh spin on the Blazer SB, turning it from a skate shoe into something more upscale. Drawing inspiration from Harlem's Dapper Dan, the revamped shoe came with a quilted leather upper, a snakeskin-like swoosh, gold lace tips, a Supreme tag on the ankle, and a heel strip reminiscent of Gucci designs. The intricate detailing and quality made these not just shoes, but collector's items, and allowed them to become instant hits. 2007 marked yet another successful year for the Nike and Supreme partnership with the release of the SB Air Trainer 2 TW. This was the first time the famous Supreme logo appeared on a Nike shoe. Coming in 4 different colorways, the hype behind this sneaker was so much that it caused noticeable issues on release day, with so many people turning up to Supreme's Lafayette Street store that the LAPD literally ordered them to sell all stock in one day to avoid disrupting local businesses. After taking a short hiatus in 2008, Nike and Supreme hope to make a comeback with the 2009 SB Bruin Low. Unfortunately, while they did sell out, these shoes didn't garner as much hype as prior drops. The low top pair took on a more understated design approach. While not being visually dramatic, Supreme did add their touch. They incorporated a metallic swoosh stamped "World Famous" on the heels and adorned the shoe with a dual-branded hang tag. In 2010, Supreme further solidified its reputation as a master collaborator by introducing an entirely fresh sneaker silhouette, the Nike SB 94. Instead of merely remixing an existing model, they ventured into uncharted territory, blending old-school aesthetics with cutting-edge technology. Drawing inspiration from the retro basketball era, a time when skaters preferred Nike basketball shoes for their affordability and robustness, the SB 94 was a salute to a bygone period. Yet it didn't just stop there. Supreme incorporated Nike's advanced foamposite Zoom Air tech, ensuring these kicks weren't just stylish but also skate-ready. Coming out in 4 distinct colorways, black, team green, cherrywood red, and midnight navy, the shoes became instant hits. Interestingly, there were 2 more variants in purple and white, but these never made it beyond the prototype phase. The SB 94 made a comeback in 2011, but with a twist. Drawing inspiration from the beloved boots often seen on New York streets, primarily Timberlands, Supreme took an unexpected direction. This iteration of the 94s boasted a design that was reminiscent of Timberland boots, crafted in luxurious suede. While they may give off a rugged vibe, sneaker enthusiasts knew better than to trample through snow in them. Even though these weren't the most hyped in Supreme's Nike collab lineup, they hold a special place as a unique and often overlooked treasure in their shared history. Earlier that same year, they also came up with the Supreme by Fragment design by Nike Air Zoom All Court. This shoe broke away from the usual as it was Supreme and Nike's first non-SB joint venture. Initially slated for an exclusive Japan release, it took an unexpected turn. The shoe's launch got axed, with the design never going beyond the sample stage, and it remains one of those what could have been moments in the world of sneaker collaborations. After 10 years of collaborative projects, in 2012, Supreme and Nike looked far back into their catalog and released an updated version of the SB Dunk Low from 2002. This revamped version stood out with bold red side panels, placed against the signature elephant print with Supreme branded insoles, which made them unique. While the hype around the Dunk SB had mellowed by 2012, the release was met with high demand since sneakerheads were more informed and prepared. Many had their eyes set on this pair, hoping it would be the next big collector's item in the sneaker world. Even now, their appeal hasn't waned, still retaining a significant spot in sneaker history. Now, by 2012, Supreme had evolved. It wasn't just a skate store anymore, it was a global cultural icon. With its status elevated to a full-blown lifestyle brand, collaborations expanded beyond the skateboarding realm. Partnerships with big names like Comme des Garçons, Levi's, The North Face, and Visvim exemplified this growth and broadened its appeal. Diving into their first non-skate Nike collaboration, the Air Force One was a no-brainer. The shoe had long been synonymous with New York City, a staple sneaker across its 5 boroughs. So, in November 2012, the AF1 Low was unveiled, tailor-made for NYC's unforgiving winters. These shoes combine the best of both worlds, functionality with their water-resistant NYCO uppers, and style, showcased by the white midsoles, gum bottoms, and the subtle yet distinctive Supreme branding on the tongue tab and a neat box logo tab on the swoosh. Strangely though, all pictures of the shoe have been removed from the shoe gallery on the random section of Supreme's website, and nobody knows why. In the subsequent spring, Supreme circled back to their SB roots. This time, they set their sights on revamping the tennis classic from the mid-1980s, which, interestingly enough, was an update of a 1975 court sneaker, named after the prestigious Wimbledon tournament. But Supreme wasn't about to simply reissue a classic. They modernized it by integrating Zoom Air technology for enhanced comfort. The shoe was unveiled in 4 distinct colorways: the timeless white and black, the rich blue, and a striking Volt yellow, reminiscent of a tennis ball. Just 5 months after the release of the Tennis Classic SB, Supreme and Nike were back in the lab, prepping for a fall-winter collaboration. For this round, instead of rolling with Nike's skateboarding line, they dipped into the realm of lifestyle and running sneakers. They introduced their version of the Lunar One Plus in a muted black-dark gray combo. Despite its understated palette, the sneaker has its unique touches: a knitted-in Supreme logo, a minuscule box logo on the tongue, and a sprinkled gray midsole. Interestingly, the official presser labeled the Supreme Flyknit as a collab between Nike Running and Nike SB. And to further blur the lines, these kicks came packaged in a Nike SB box. In 2014, we got the Supreme by Nike Foamposite 1. And let me tell you, this shoe set the whole community on fire. Dressed in an audacious Baroque pattern, the Air Foamposite 1 was released in both striking black and red variations. Streets around Supreme's NYC store were jam-packed days before the release, and this led to the NYPD intervening and pushing Supreme to reevaluate its release strategy for high-demand collaboration. They had to pivot to an online-only drop for this release, ensuring safety while also addressing the staggering demand. Supreme continued to work through Nike's back catalog in 2014. They reimagined the AF1 High, rolling out 3 distinct versions. Each pair came with a prominent world-famous tag on the ankle straps, complemented by Supreme's unmistakable branding on the heels. But the buzz around this collaboration was so intense that Supreme's Lafayette location never even stocked them. In 2015, after a 2-year hiatus from the Nike SB line, Supreme came back with a fresh take on the GTS skate shoe. This design was all about simplicity. Made of canvas, the shoe featured a no-frills design, enhanced by a vulcanized rubber midsole. The branding? Subtle, with embroidered swoosh logos and the iconic red Supreme tab. This year also marked their debut collaboration with the iconic Jordan brand. Now, you might think it's odd for a skate label to collaborate with basketball's most iconic brand, but considering that skaters often sport AJ1s, it's not a total left field move. However, Supreme shook things up by choosing the AJ5 silhouette for their collaboration. Released in 3 colorways, these kicks had SUP etched on the sides and replaced the classic Jordan 23 heel motif with 94, a nod to the year Supreme launched. Notably, these kicks never saw physical shelves in North America, being released exclusively online. In spring 2016, Supreme surprised fans with an unexpected collaboration: the Air Max 98. Drawing inspiration from Prada's iconic America's Cup sneakers, this shoe boasted 3 patent leather designs and a standout snakeskin version, underscoring Supreme's knack for combining luxury with streetwear. Then in the fall of the same year, Supreme returned to the Blazer, this time going for the low-cut iteration. The collection came in 3 colorways and featured gold foil embossing and gum rubber outsoles. As spring 2017 rolled around, Supreme delved back into Nike's 90s basketball vault, revamping the bold Air more up-tempo. Instead of the iconic Air branding, Supreme replaced it with their own name, wrapping it from one side of the shoe to the other. They also launched a black version, reminiscent of the original, a red colorway to echo Supreme's signature hue, and a flashy gold variant to make sure all eyes were on the wearer. And later that same year, Supreme's consistent collaborations with Comme des Garçons brought Nike into the fold for reinterpretation of the classic white-on-white Air Force One. This iconic silhouette was infused with Japanese flair, showcasing the eyes graphics at the back of the shoes and upper midsole. Added touches included dual branding positioned beneath the swoosh on the shoe's lateral side. Then, only a few weeks into its Fall/Winter 2017 launch, Supreme unveiled yet another collaboration with Nike SB, resurrecting an overlooked basketball shoe from Nike's vault. The Supreme Nike Air Force 2 was a reimagined version of the 1987 Court Classic, boasting a luxurious leather upper and specialized heel stabilizers. Now, Nike going from collaborating with Supreme once a year to once a season was already a huge deal, but expanding the agreement to include several launches within a season was completely unprecedented. Before the dust even settled on their previous AF2 SB launch, Supreme whipped out a curveball for the cold months, the Nike Air Humera. Designed by the legendary Pete Fogg in '97, the Air Humera wasn't just a trail runner, it was a street icon. Ditching the earthy, outdoorsy vibe, they went for a splash of neon, with a hat tip to Nike's late '90s, early 2000s ACG line. And for those who preferred to whisper rather than shout, there was an all-black version. It was old school, new school, and Supreme school all in one. Riding the wave of the Spring/Summer 18 season, Supreme dusted off the 2003 Zoom Spectrum Plus and served it up in two scorching, flame-printed colorways. While one was a nostalgic nod to the OG white style, both designs screamed attitude without trying too hard. Because let's face it, when you're Supreme, sometimes the loudest statement is simply a subtle flex. To kick off 2018, Supreme took the classic Air Force 1 and threw it back to the early 2000s with the Air Force 1 Mid X NBA. Then they unexpectedly ventured into soccer with the SB Gato, which came in 4 simple colorways, each of which included colorful accents and gum rubber soles. But Supreme wasn't done turning heads. They teamed up with Comme des Garçons again, delivering an Air Force 1 with a twist, literally, with the iconic swoosh being sliced in half. In 2019, Supreme tweaked Jordan's revered AJ14. A nod to MJ's affinity for Italian cars, these silhouettes, dipped in 2 sleek colorways, brought back that signature box logo kick on the heels. They also released the Dunk Low SB in 2019. These shoes came in bold colorways that boasted metallic details and star branding on the rears. Sneakers from this collection are now rarely seen and also relatively expensive to purchase on the secondary market. They later came out with a remix of the Air Max Tailwind 4. Supreme then went luxe with their rendition of the Air Max 95 Luxe. Crafted in Italy, it wasn't just the price tag that turned heads, but also the meticulous craftsmanship and the subtle nod to Italy with a silver hang tag. Into 2020, Supreme played smart with the Nike Air Max Plus, turning its iconic wavy patterns into a Supreme billboard. 2020 was also the year they released the black and white Air Force 1 that is restocking every season with a complementary colorway. Come 2021, the SB Dunk tidal wave was unstoppable. Every release, every whisper of a collab sent sneakerheads into a frenzy. So, riding this massive wave, Supreme dropped a fresh spin on the Nike SB Dunk Low. The Dunk collab served as an ode to the '03 collection and came in shades of black, green, brown, and blue. Venturing further into 2021, they picked the underrated Air Max 96, punctuating its look with translucent uppers. The Supreme by Nike SB Dunk High was hyped long before its release with its "by any means necessary" motto. They didn't stop there. The Cross Trainer Low, originally released in 1987, was revived with Supreme's stamp all over it. The original Nike Air Max Gadome never really took off with sneakerheads. However, it did somehow become the shoe of choice for law enforcement employees and construction workers. But that didn't stop Supreme from decking the model out in snakeskin and launching it as part of their 2021 collection. While it was an interesting choice, the shoe wasn't too well received and is rarely remembered today. Supreme had an ace up their sleeve for 2022. First, they took the basketball favorite Nike Air Zoom Flight 95 and gave it a paisley upgrade. They then jumped into the Shox trend, dropping the Shox Rod 2 in a range of colors. Rolling into 2023, the stage was set for the Nike Air Bacon launch, which just came out in February. But the rumor mills are already abuzz for 2024, with leaks suggesting the intriguing Supreme by Nike Clogposit for spring. Supreme's love for the late artist Rammellzee is also front and center with the new SB Dunk in 2023. The shoes came out on August the 31st as part of the New York streetwear giant's Fall-Winter 23 collection, Week 2. These kicks are draped in the artist's intense Gothic artwork with vibrant prints of his paintings on the canvas upper bases. The SB Dunk High rocks a subtle cream palette, while the Dunk Low dives into a deep midnight black. Melding with these artistic wonders, gold doubrays and embroidered Nike insignias grace the tongue and tags, and plush suede heels. Supreme's trademark red streak makes its mark on the co-labeled footbeds. Inside, Zoom Air units give a bounce to each step. And to seal the deal, each shoe supports a Supreme by Nike world-famous tag. Only time will tell where this duo will head next. But one thing's for sure, it's bound to be supremely iconic. Like, subscribe, and smell your armpits if you like this video.